Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with today's guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, if you're new, these are all great companies. I used every single one of them as an AD. I highly recommend that you check them out. So take 3 minutes, don't hit that fast forward button, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our guest, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. Short one. Hey, welcome back. We want to thank our great sponsors, including Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You can check out their great products, including video boards and indoor score tables. Don't forget to mention the podcast. You've heard me say before, one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. That's sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to say thank you to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and let their team turn you into a social media pro in seconds. Gipper's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college athletic programs. And whether it's a simple social media post celebrating a big win or an entire newsletter showcasing all the great things that your athletic department does, Gipper's going to have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We also want to say thank you to Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. For me, the athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is the best. Go to homecampus.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast. That's homecampus.com. We want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. We used it at our school with great success. Our coaches loved it. I'm telling you, it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes love the videos, and our parents love the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com. Join the 8 million users and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio University, but my assistant athletic director did, and it was a great experience. It's totally online, very affordable, just 20 months. And while you're earning your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Go to ohio.edu/info/MAA. Don't forget to mention the podcast, the Ohio University Online Masters. We'd like to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record board or your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's also a great way to showcase your school's unique history and brag about your proudest moments. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. You put one of these units in your gym lobby, your main hallway, it's going to be a magnet for kids, for coaches, for sponsors, and alumni. It's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We'd also like to give a shout out to Hometown. Hometown is not just ticketing anymore. If you go to hometown.com, they're going to show how they're changing the way for schools and organizations with their suite of platforms for things like digital ticketing, fee-free fundraising, and athletic website construction. Whether you're an AD, a coach, or a school administrator, Hometown is going to show you how they're making it easy for schools to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. You can learn more at hometown.com. That's hometown.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. As you know, if you've listened to this podcast a lot, we have veteran athletic directors and coaches. We have brand new ADs. We also will have aspiring ADs and leaders. And I think that's our category today. Our guest is Taylor White. Taylor's currently a student at Fleming High School. That's here in Florida. Taylor is also a member of the Florida High School Athletic Association's Public Liaison Committee. He is the student representative, and he sits right alongside state senators, state representatives, school superintendents, and they're part of the newer, I'm going to say, policy making administration of the FHSAA. We're going to hear about Taylor's background and more about the Public Liaison Committee. But Taylor White, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thank you, and thank you for having me come on here today. About me, as I said, I go to Fleming Island High School. It's in the Jacksonville area of Florida. And growing up, like just a little bit about me, I've always been passionate about sports and leadership. I come from a family of service, giving back to the people who gave and give back to me currently is what I strive to do. Um, from actually an early age, I was always involved in sports, athletics. Starting at just 5 years old, I joined the summer swim program in my community, and now I swim at the high school level. I've had the opportunity to and compete at invitationals, district events, regional events, the state series. It really is a great um, learning environment to be in. It's taught discipline, um, teamwork, perseverance. After I did grow up, my middle school years were always trying different sports. And although the middle school areas in my county did not offer swimming as a sport, I still got involved and trained at clubs and watched the high school team compete. I was like, I'm going to be there soon. So what I am currently doing at the Florida High School Athletic Association is serving as, again, the student member of the Public Liaison Advisory Committee. I'm the one student athlete around the state that represents the 245 athletes around the state. And it's a wonderful opportunity to not only assist in advocating for those students, but learning from the people around me.
Well, appreciate you coming on the podcast again. You and I connected. I saw some of your posts from your activity. Let's go back to, your story, growing up. You're in high school right now. So yeah, obviously you're not, 10, 20 years into your career, but what were some of your early athletic experiences that kind of led you to what you're doing now, representing Fleming High School?
So when I think of a coach, I think of not only an athletic coach, but I think of a life coach. Um, the coach who has coached me from when I was 8 years old is actually now my high school coach, which has had I'm so pleased that that has happened because, again, when you look at a coach, they're teaching you life lessons, they're helping you along the way, and giving those coaches giving back to these athletes. I feel like they deserve that student who can relate to them, who can always advocate on their behalf. And it really is a great just learning curve because when you think about the perspectives of student athletes, it's always going to be different than what an adult thinks or a coach thinks or an administrator thinks. Having that athlete perspective when it comes to issues involving policies and athlete engagement and development, it's always great to just have a perspective that is combating and is actually involved in the issues that we're talking about.
You know, as you made that transition from youth to high school, any big moments stick out for you? You talk about the importance of having your coach involved, but any, let's say magic moments stick out?
Definitely a magic moment for me was walking into tryouts on the first day of my freshman year and all these upperclassmen who had a bond. And earlier down the season, you started to get more comfortable. And that coach who I mentioned kind of pushed me to get out there a little more because, as one would, they were going to be a little nervous walking in to tryouts and practice on the first day. So that magic moment for me was just that coach pushing me to not only do great in the pool, but be an amazing teammate. And I really did at that point know that this is going to be a bond not only with my teammates, but my coaches.
Let's go and talk about your position with the FHSAA Public Liaison Committee. How did that all happen? How'd you hear about it? I'm going to guess there was an application process to go through. Share that journey.
So, um, a little bit about May of 2024. Um, the FHSAA had posted on their website that they were looking for a student athlete to fill the committee. So I had reached out to the administrator who was assigned to be the liaison on the committee, and I basically told him, "Hey, I read about the committee's duties, their authority, their job description, and I would love to get more involved." And the administrator who was liaison was like, "Yeah, of course, just send me over what you want to do with this position, how you want to help out, and of course, we can move from there." Now, what I do is the Public Liaison Committee itself, per Florida statutes, is to establish, sustain, and provide guidance to the staff of the Florida High School Athletic Association. It is filled with members all over the state, that of a principal from a public school, principal from a private school, a superintendent of a district, Florida congressional members. It is the Public Liaison Advisory Committee is to act as a conduit between the public and the association. They have input into the decision making of the association regarding the receipt of public input and disposition um, of complaints related to Florida high school athletics. So we act as a bridge between the public and the association.
So, in your time serving on the committee so far, obviously you were selected. What are some of the issues that have come before the committee, and share if you can, how you as a committee worked with those.
So we as a committee have the opportunity to present items for the board to speak about. But what we also speak about is whenever a um, family member or an athlete or anyone who emails the Public Liaison Advisory Committee, it gets sent out to everyone on the committee and it is automatically put on our agenda. It is a way for not only the association to know what's going on, but the public. Again, we act as a bridge between the public and the association. So we are not only representing the association when it comes to advising on issues and policies, but we act as representatives of the public. And it is um, some of the issues that we have talked about this year is something I've actually presented myself, which was a review into the swimming and diving heat illness policies. What that basically said was if the outside temperature reached a certain degree on the wet bulb, it would automatically require athletes to get out. What the policy was designed to do was target sports like football, baseball, anything that has a large heat compressed um, jersey or anything that is going to get them illness would require them to get out of that environment. And what it was um, designed from my point of view to review the policy is sports like swimming and diving, water polo, anything, because these sports have automatic heat combative procedures like the chillers inside the pools. They weren't taking that into consideration when they were deciding the policies. So no matter if the pool was, let's say, the nicest it could ever be, it even if that wet bulb reached a certain temperature, athletes would be required to get out or they would be in violation of the policy. So what I presented was we need to be able to not only decide between every sport, but we need to be able to consider every factor.
So I know when I was an AD, I've been retired for a couple of years now. Um, if you talk about policy, if a policy, if someone wanted to, propose a change or propose a new policy, um, it could come from the public, but usually the first stop, if you will, after it came from, say, a coaches committee or the officials, it would come before, it would first be presented to the athletic director advisory committee. I actually sat on that committee for several years. The athletic directors would hear the proposal, ask questions. If the athletic directors felt that it was, I guess, worth further consideration or was worthy, they would vote, and if they so voted, pass it on to the next level, which would be the administrators, and the administrators would do the same thing. And if they approved, pass it on to the actual FHSAA board, which would vote to approve or not approve and add it to the existing policy. Under the new, under the reorganization of the FHSAA, is it similar? Do, say, your policy about wet bulb temperatures for swimming and diving, uh, did that go to the athletic directors, or is your committee actually above the ADAC?
So when I presented it to the Public Liaison Committee, once we were having dialogue about the wording and the usage of the um, recommendation, I thought that it would be best that we loop in the swimming and diving advisory committee for the coaches as well as the sports medicine committee. So whenever that item was referred to those committees, they discussed it, which is we're still in the process of this actual item. I had only presented it back in late December. So whenever the Public Liaison Advisory Committee gives a recommendation, hypothetically, if we were to talk about lacrosse, it would go to the lacrosse committee. If we were to talk about anything related to athlete safety and being on the field, it would go to the sports medicine committee. So we are a committee that talks about policies, but we also are a committee that requires specialized recommendations and input from other sources so that we can actually move forward with sending this recommendation to the association. So there is a lot of discussion that goes on before we actually do send a recommendation to the association.
Oh, okay. Is the approval of, new policy proposals, is that still going through, I guess, athletic directors and then on to administration and board? Is that how it works?
I actually am not as well educated on the athletic directors advisory committee and how they um, operate. But anytime a committee does provide a recommendation, the staff are always considering that recommendation. and asking other sources of asking other people and committees and boards for that same information. But whenever we do discuss policy, it's always we're always asking, will this help? Will this provide precedent? Will it actually give some sort of betterment of the our athletics in Florida? Because we have 245 athletes all across Florida. And there's always going to be something that we can do to better the policies, and always getting it right or always considering every factor is something that the association does do.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing all of those details. And again, it's new for all of us, how this reorganization, which was a state mandate, Florida's legislature, created this new organizational structure. It's got to be exciting for you to be there on the ground floor. But we're not done yet. We always wrap up our sessions with the athletic director toolbox segment. Now, you're not an AD, but you're part of that next generation of leaders for the world of athletics. So I'm going to ask you to send out a brand new athletic director on their very first job. But I'm only going to let you put 3 items in their toolbox. So, from your perspective, Taylor White, what 3 tools are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
Definitely number one would be to prioritize student well-being. When we think about student athletes, it's easy to just focus on the performance on the field. But what's happening off the field, health is a big issue. Athletic directors, I feel, should make sure that there are resources like stress management workshops, heat illness workshops, academic advisement. The culture of openness where athletes can talk about their struggles without the fear of judgment is such a way to combat bad culture. After all, if they're not supported off the field, they're not going to perform the best ability on the field. Number two, I would say, would be to always be open to talking to your athletes. At my school, I have one of the best people that I could ever ask for, and they are actually our athletic director. He's always interacting with the athletes. He's always going out, not only just being our athletic administrator, but being a coach on and off the field. He's Before he was an athletic director, he was a coach. Um, every time you see an athlete walk up to him, he's not that person who'd be like, oh, he's the athletic director. He's someone who they look up to. He's someone who they can come to where they can confide in. And just having that athletic administrator who you can talk to, not only just because you can talk to your coach, but talking to that person from a different perspective, from an independent recommendation, it goes a long way. And my last recommendation would be athletic and academic balance. Being a student athlete is hard while balancing the academic and school life out. Most people have 6 periods. That's an hour a day with probably homework in each class, as well as studying and doing any extra work that's needed. Athletic directors can do a lot to make sure that I believe that is an easier way to balance and maintain things like facilitating study halls, tutoring service, or even just understanding that sometimes an athlete needs a little more help can go a long way. And that's what I'm talking about, being that life coach as well as an athletic coach. Being a life coach connects with athletes. Knowing where your athletes stand on and off the field is a huge part. And it's not only being an athlete, it's being a student athlete. The student always comes first. If you plan to go collegiately, these collegiate coaches are always going to look at your grades. They're always going to talk to your teachers, your counselors, and having someone help you and pushing you forward, especially an athletic administrator or an athletic director, is always going to be a shine that's going to always sparkle in their eye when that their that college coach comes and talks to them. They're going to be strong on and off of the field. So just being an athletic administrator and on your first day to 3 tips, just listening to the athletes, always providing advice when you feel there is a need to provide advice, even if it's just a hey, I've noticed you've been doing great. Keep it up. It goes a long way.
Well, you probably saw me scribbling down those tools. Great, great observations from somebody that's still, in high school, but any AD could definitely use those. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out, find out more about the Public Liaison Committee or about Fleming High School, or just add you to their network, what's the best way that our listeners can get a hold of Taylor White?
If you ever want to get a hold of me, if you go to the Public Liaison Advisory Committee, you'll scroll down and you'll see a drop-down menu that has members. If you scroll all the way down, I'm listed as the student athlete advisor and my email is listed below.
Well, Taylor, thanks again for joining us on the podcast. All the best moving forward in both your swimming and your academic career, as well as with the FHSAA. And we're going to have to get you on down the road, do an update. Thanks again for joining us.
Of course.
For our
Thank you for having me.
listeners, we appreciate you joining us. And just want to remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We share stories and best practices. So hopefully you'll join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD.